Chatham County, Georgia. In her bones, she knew it was too early for her to be flying solo. 2 more weeks at the side of a mentor was what she had been told, but that promise had vanished along with so many of the faces with which she had become familiar since taking the job. Those first few days had been stressful enough. Everything seemed to be moving at the speed of light. She marveled at how the calls flooded in and grizzled veterans made quick, dispassionate assessments before keying up their microphones to broadcast information in a language that at times seemed foreign. The most experienced among them could take a call made by some dude screaming his head off like he was being chased by a maniac with an axe, get the caller to give the basic information needed for a response, send a unit, and then turn back to the neighboring dispatcher to resume a meaningless conversation about the latest episode of The Bachelor. But that was before. Now, there was no idle chit-chat. On the rare instances the Savannah area let the phone lines rest, there was nothing but silence in the dispatch center that somehow still seemed cramped, despite some of the stations being empty. Silence was what Denise Warren wanted right now, because she didn't know if she could handle anything more difficult than the 2 calls she'd taken since coming on shift. A small car fire on Bull Street, and a report of a homeless man harassing tourists down by the riverfront. On most days, because of the poor layout of the Savannah Chatham Communications Center, not all the dispatchers were in the same room. However, with so many of the communications officers calling in sick or flat out quitting, Denise could see all the other dispatchers' anxious expressions. Throughout her abbreviated training, a phrase had been drilled into her: there are no routine calls. While she appreciated the sentiment, Denise knew it was mostly bullshit. Routine was the dream. To be competent enough to handle the barrage of phone and radio chatter while keeping your cool was supposed to be the goal. Not tonight. Tonight, the goal was to make it through without getting the call. She glanced up at the fluorescent clock on the wall at the far side of the room. The red digits burned 9:10 p.m., as if the rest of the city, hell, the rest of the county, knew. The phones stopped ringing. Nobody made a sound. Not a chair squeak. Not a tap on a keyboard. Denise examined the faces around her. Elizabeth, a husband and 2 kids. She'd heard Jake was newlywed. She didn't know Alfonso well, but the heavy-set man had a wedding band and seemed the family type. Alicia was definitely single. She'd become friendly with Alicia after the 2 had gone out for drinks one night. After downing a couple of gin and tonics, Alicia had become flirty and tested the waters with Denise. While flattered, Denise politely let her know the winds weren't going to blow that direction. But the 2 had remained friends. Skylar and the guy everyone just called T were total mysteries to her, since they were recent emergency additions called in from some adjacent jurisdiction. Patrice, who was a total bitch to all the other women, complained incessantly about her husband, who was retired from the army and apparently bored out of his mind at home. If Denise remembered correctly, she had 2 grown kids who were both living somewhere in the area. The numbers on the clock changed to 9:11 p.m. Denise became aware of a low hum from the fans somewhere within the communications consoles. She'd never noticed it before, and wondered if anyone ever had, since the center was normally a beehive 24 hours a day. She watched her screen and then took a few surreptitious peeks at the others who were all doing the same. Damn. She forgot to count. How many seconds had passed? 20? 30? No, it had to be more than that, because she could see the tension leaving Alfonso's face.